Hi, it's Rich from Planet PE, and today's video is all about aerobic and anaerobic exercise. So we're going to tackle some questions, try and show you how to get all the marks possible on the topic of aerobic and anaerobic respiration and exercise. So today's question is a 4-mark question which involves 4 different parts. So what we're going to be looking at is what is meant by the term aerobic, what is meant by the term anaerobic, and then trying to describe situations where we're going to be working aerobically and anaerobically. So here's the question. So this is what we're going to be focusing on throughout the video and visiting towards the end. So you might want to do the question now, give it a go, and then as I talk you through, try and maybe add bits in before we go to the end, where I'm going to show you what the mark scheme and the examiners are looking from you in this sort of question. So this is kind of what we do. So I'm Rich from Planet PE. You'll see me on Instagram, you'll see me on Twitter, and every single week I'm uploading GCSE PE videos. Now we're only down to 10 weeks left before your exam. So that's going to mean that we're going to have to really focus on trying to make sure that you crack these exam questions and get every single mark that you can. So let's carry on and look at what we mean by these terms and how we're going to define them. So the term anaerobic and the term aerobic are things that you might see in a 1, 2 or 3 mark question. It could be in a more extended topic, so we need to make sure that all of you are prepared for absolutely everything that you need to know. So let's look at the definitions. So the term aerobic means in the presence of oxygen. So it means that your body has enough time to utilize the oxygen which has been breathed in, has gone around through the red blood cells and then gone to the muscles. So we're looking here at activities that last typically longer than 60 seconds. So they're going to be relatively low intensity and they're lasting quite a long duration. So that's when we're thinking about it being aerobic. So lots of different activities have aerobic elements, but sports don't tend to be anaerobic or aerobic. So that's really, really important to try and look at. So I could play a game of football and I could be moving at a slow intensity, jogging around, walking at different periods for long periods of time. That's going to be an aerobic activity. I could do a marathon, but that could have anaerobic aspects to it. So you've got to make sure that within your answers that you're being really, really specific about where the aerobic elements are and where the anaerobic elements are. So the definition for when we talk about anaerobic is that anaerobic is in the absence of oxygen. Now it's not that we've suddenly entered a vacuum and there's no oxygen, it's that it's high intensity and it's not lasting very long. So there isn't enough time for the red blood cells to actually get around the body and to the muscles for when you're actually doing the activity. So that's a good way to think about it. So if I was going to play golf, I could walk the whole course and I'm working aerobically. When I'm actually hitting the ball and I'm using my big powerful movements, that's an anaerobic activity. That's an anaerobic respiration or an anaerobic exercise because it lasts a really, really short duration. So I'm not actually needing or able to use, I should say, the oxygen. So therefore it's in an absence of oxygen. Now, within the exam, you might see a really simple question like this one. So this is just a 1-mark question because you also need to know the equations for aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. It's something you're probably going to need to know in biology as well. So when we look at aerobic respiration, it is glucose and oxygen together. Now what we get from there is that we end up with energy, carbon dioxide and water. So what that's saying is that the energy is coming from glucose and oxygen. So because we have those, we end up with energy. The waste products or the byproducts are carbon dioxide and water. When we work anaerobically, we have glucose as the fuel source, no oxygen, and then we've got energy which is used or created, and then lactic acid. So we've got 2 different things. So in the aerobic equation, we've got glucose and oxygen, carbon dioxide and water. In the anaerobic one, we have glucose, energy and lactic acid. So what that's telling us there is that lactic acid is only created in anaerobic environments. So if you were asked a question linked to this about when you would create lactic acid, it's in anaerobic anaerobic respiration. So that's really important that you get that. So anaerobic respiration is when we create our lactic acid. So sprinters will create lactic acid, marathon runners may not. But marathon runners may if they're sprinting when they're doing their activity. So let's go back to that question then. So the first thing that we need to do in that question, let me just click on my slides as I go, is what is meant by the term aerobic. So what's meant by the term aerobic? So in this question, you've got to use two things. You could use the equation that we had of glucose plus oxygen equals energy plus carbon dioxide and water. You would get 1 mark. You could simply say that aerobic is respiration in the presence of oxygen. So either of those would get you 1 mark. You've then got to try and discuss about when we're going to be using our aerobic respiration. So it says here to award 2 marks for an accurate description for a maximum reference should be made to the intensity and length of the situation. So the example that they gave on the mark scheme is activities that need long-term energy, such as cross-country running or long-distance cycling. So you couldn't just say running is an aerobic activity. You need to talk about the fact that it's a long-term energy system. It's going to be lasting for that long period of time. You could say things like it's a low-intensity exercise. You could say, for instance, marathon running. Okay, so you have to reference the duration and the intensity. When we look at the question there about anaerobic respiration, you would get a mark for saying that respiration in the absence of oxygen, or by saying glucose equals energy plus lactic acid. Now, when you're giving the example of when that's going to be used, it says here to award 2 marks for an accurate description for a maximum reference should be made to the intensity and length of the situation. So again, exactly the same as what we needed for the aerobic. So it's saying here that activities that need short-term energy, such as the 100-meter sprint or weightlifting. So again, you've got to reference that duration is the key thing. So aerobic activities last a long period of time, anaerobic activities last a short period of time. So think about just simply that. I've got this thing in my head from science as I teach that, where it takes 60 seconds for a red blood cell to go around the body. So try and think about that way. If it's not going to get around the body, then you're not using the oxygen. So therefore that gives you an idea of the duration that you're after. So nice and short today, just looking at those different things, and I'm looking very, very soon at getting a live session because I know that in March, lots and lots of you have some exams coming up. So please keep subscribing to the channel. You'll see some of the posts that I put up, same on Instagram, same on Twitter, because I want your views about when's going to be the best time to get those live sessions up. So thanks for watching, and I will be back again very, very soon with some more videos to help you with your GCSE PE.